Should be. It's just setting up.
No worries. I think everything is a little bit slower because so many people are on there.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Things now. And we've 133, which is a nice number anyway, Kate.
Ha! Hooray! So, hello.
Hello.
Hello to everybody, if anybody's here as well. This is Marlene Cronin, and I have been a huge fan of yours for a little while now. I'm like almost fangirling. You were the first person that I really got into light language because of, as a result of, if you like. I went through that stage, and I think quite a few people do it, and I feel a bit bad saying this to you, but you can hit me later. But like years ago, I'd be like, oh, God, yeah. You know, like I'd hear it and I'd be like, what is this gubbins?
Yeah. Totally.
But then all of a sudden something changed, and obviously it was the right time, and all of a sudden I just fell into the pit of like, wow, this is amazing. And, I just absolutely love your work, so thank you for putting it out there. But for anybody watching, tell us a little bit about how you started. Like, where have you always known that there was something special that you could do, or you know, did you always feel slightly different, or tell us how it was for you?
Yeah, I would be hesitant to say special because it's something we all have, you know what I mean? It's a gift we all have. We just need to activate it. But I do feel that there are people put here to activate, to activate other people. And usually they're called forerunners or way showers. So I'm 47, so that would put me in the kind of way shower category. You know, there's a lot of beautiful souls coming in now that are, you know, they're getting the gifts really, really quickly. And like, there's a little bit of me that's jealous of that, because I feel like I had to walk through the desert alone for a very long time, you know, to kind of really understand what was coming through. But usually, like, I started seeing beings, you know, people, things like that from the age of 4. So I would see them in my room, or I would feel them, and I was extremely sensitive, like a classic empath now, I know, looking back. Sounds, smells, energies of other people, usually photographs of me at that age are bright red crying.
Oh.
If I'm in, like if I was in, say, my nan's house now, and there was a lot of people and they were arguing, I would feel like I would feel all of it, but I didn't understand it. Then the light language part came in. I was 14. I used to meditate a lot. I used just to love to meditate, and I used to listen to Taizé music. And it will kind of transport me into a different kind of vibration. But there was a lady came to the house. My mum and dad were kind of practicing charismatic religion at the time.
Okay.
It's very much about the Holy Spirit. And this lady came to the house and she could speak in tongues. And she asked me and my sister, did we want to be open to it? So we said, yeah, grand. So she said a little prayer and I started speaking it. My sister started speaking it. But usually the question that I get asked a lot is it the same as speaking in tongues? And for me, it isn't, because my father, he was activated to speaking in tongues around the same age. That's 33 years ago.
Wow.
And his tongues are the exact same. It doesn't change.
No.
With light language, I feel it evolves, it changes, there's more comes in. It's a deeper thing. Mm-hmm. So that's how I explain it to people. The tongues tend to stay the same.
Yeah.
Throughout your life. The light language are that's just a label as well. I mean, that's just how we can identify it.
Yeah.
So to get to the point, I was meditating and then my hands started to move of their own accord, which is very scary for a 14-year-old. Yeah. Okay. And then I started to twist and contort, and there was all of these voices English speaking, foreign language, as I was calling it at the time. And then these huge energy changes. Looking back now, my mum and dad used to have prayer meetings downstairs, and they didn't know how to discharge the energy. And I felt that's what I was doing.
Wow.
It's what I do in my work. I purge, I transmute, you know what I mean? So I felt I was doing that straight off. Being honest, Kate, it was a very hard road because coming from a Catholic background, I thought I was possessed.
Yeah.
I thought, there was something well dodgy going on. And, I used to cry about it, and I used to pray, and I prayed for years, please take this away, please take this away. But it didn't. And I had
Thank
absolutely
God.
no idea what it was. And I used to sit in front of reader after reader, healers, and the closest thing they would say is it's trance healing. But I knew it wasn't trance healing.
Mhm.
And then only 3 years ago, I was sitting in front of the computer and I saw this lady speaking light language, ran out to get my husband. Oh my God, look, this is what I do.
It was only 3 years
Only
ago.
3 years ago, I actually had a label for what was happening. Before that, it started to
Amazing.
amplify. It started to amplify. If I would only work on a handful of people because it was very unknown.
Yeah.
And then this lady said to me, oh my God, Marlene, this is medicine. It's not healing, it's medicine. You need to be doing it. But I
Mm.
was afraid of it. Plus, I used to attach. So when I do my work, it's a flow between the light beings and myself transmuting. So I would feel all of the intense trauma that was transmuting, and I'd attach to it. I'd be like, oh, the poor person, and I detach, and then I'd be exhausted and need to recharge for 3 hours. Now I don't. Now I just let it. The intense trauma that was transmuting, and I detached.
There we go. Sorry.
That's okay. So then what happened was I just started getting more and more of a push from spirit to put it out there. Um, it started to happen when I'd be sitting with friends. I'd feel the energy building, and then I'd say, "Really sorry about this," and I'd have to let out what they were, let out the energy that was building. And then they would say, "Oh my God, the pain is gone that I had." This lady said that, like, she's a very good friend of mine, said that afterwards she could feel her feelings again. So
Wow.
then I started to say, okay, look, maybe I need to be brave because
Yeah.
it's so strange. It's so
Honestly,
strange.
honestly, I was talking to somebody about you earlier this morning, my personal trainer, who I'm actually talking to on interview after you. And I said to him, one of the things that I admire most about you is that you're actually putting yourself out there. Because for me, um, the propensity for people to just rip the shit out of you is absolutely huge. I mean, in any of this work that we do, for anybody that kind of does this sort of stuff, like, what I read cards, whatever,
Yeah,
you always have people that just want to pull you to bits and
absolutely.
take the piss and tell you that you're mental and all of that. But for me, like, what you do, that seems to be something that's next level. Like, I can imagine that within people, the people that like to tell you that you're a little bit crazy, when they see someone doing what you do, that's, I mean, I think you're so brave, like, honestly, and I just admire that so much, just knowing that you need to do it so much that you're willing to lay yourself on the line like that. It's incredible, honestly.
Thank you so much.
And it must have been difficult.
Yeah, when I felt that it almost starts to feel like a compulsion. That's how I know spirit. They will just nag me.
Yeah, they
And they
don't
said,
leave
you
you
need
alone, do they?
to put it on Facebook. So they said you need to put it on Facebook. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me here. Seriously, you gotta be kidding me here. Because at that time I was only just on Facebook. I avoided Facebook as much as possible. I started to put myself out there work-wise, but people didn't know this part of me at all. So I put up the video. I was so timid in it, you could barely hear me. And the spirit world put on a color show. There was pinks, yellows, purples. So
Oh,
then people were kind of like, oh wow, look at the energy around you. That's lovely. You know, they didn't kind of grasp it. And then I would put it up on Facebook once a week. And then they were like, I was putting up out the YouTube videos, and the YouTube videos were basically, that's what they wanted me to do. And I said, okay, if people find it, great. And then that started to build in momentum as well. Um, but the thing about it is that after a while with the Facebook thing, I felt that it wasn't being received respectfully. So it
mm,
was kind of expected, and people were a bit um flippant about it. And I was saying,
yeah.
okay,
I
time to take it.
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, time to take it off of Facebook now. So now what I do is when I put up a video, which is usually around once a month, depending on what they want me to do, I usually share it to the Facebook page then, so
Yeah,
that it's not, it is a very
effective
sacred
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very sacred thing, and the light codes anyway are extremely powerful.
Mm,
So it's not something that you can be sort of flippant about if
no,
you resonate.
yeah.
And resonance is very important, Kate. I'm sure you know that yourself as well. There are some beautiful light language speakers, but there are some I can't listen to them for more than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's the same with anything else. It's the same with um, Reiki, any kind of healing. You'll have
It's
healers that
same with
heal.
readers,
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've read for people at events and stuff, and they've sat down. Like I've had people sat down in front of me, and I'm like, I can't read for you. You know, I just can't read for you. And they're like, what? And I think, it's really important for people to understand that. And that's why I'm doing this kind of series, because we're human beings. We're spiritual, having a human experience. And we get scared and we get nervous and we get fearful and all of these things. And so, like I said before, I can't imagine how much bravery it took for you to first put that out there, and then once you'd done that, then make the decisions that you needed to make regarding, taking it off if you needed to, because people were expecting it and it wasn't being respected. And it all takes a massive amount of courage. And we're all very fortunate, or those of us who resonate with you are very fortunate that you still do that. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because if you don't resonate, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't. And even the really well-known ones, some of them I just can't. And being honest as well, I'm very careful about what I open my energy up to.
Yeah,
Because what I try to explain and what I try to explain to people, because a lot of people get activated by my light language. They get activated just looking at me as well in readings and whatever. Um, that's just the kind of thing that I carry. But what I always say to people, because they'll say, oh my God, I really want to do this. I really want to bring this into healing. And like this lady contacted me and she'd only been like speaking of 48 hours and wanted to make videos. And I'm kind of like, slow your roll a bit. Like, you really have to live with it. You have to see, as you have to see how it works through your own body. Well, how does it make you feel? Is it moving things through you? Then when you work with other people and they come back to you and they say, oh my God, I really felt kind of a pain in my chest or whatever. And you can say, oh yeah, it's just your heart is clearing because you've experienced it.
yeah,
But what I find is that I always say to people, it's your medicine first. So
yeah,
if you practice it, and I'm sure you've experienced it where it's quite spontaneous sometimes, it will just babble out. It will clear you and it will clear your field. It will clear all of the crap that you need cleared out. But people that rush into it and haven't lived with it, their stuff filters through the light language.
yeah,
So when you're listening to someone and you're very sensitive, you'll start to feel, okay, this person is working through something or they're not quite clear. You really have to be very, very clear now as a channel, either a reader, a healer, medium. You have to keep working on clearing your channel because especially in the situation we're in now, people's energy is so high. They're either really, really fearful or the lucky few are choosing the love stream, the love frequency, but still it's high energy.
yeah, massively crazy.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, if you're not clear yourself, you're going to be picking up the collective stuff, and you're going to be projecting that onto anyone you're working with then. So it's not stuff you go into lightly, Kate, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah,
You have to, like, this might sound like an old-fashioned thing to say, but you have to earn your stripes. You have to do the work. You have to feel the feelings yourself. You have to go through your own shit and look yourself in the mirror.
absolutely.
Otherwise, like love and light is wonderful and that's great, but it has to be grounded in something real. If you're telling somebody that's like had a trauma, lost a child, something like that, and you're telling them just be positive,
It
just
doesn't
focus
work.
on the positive, it doesn't work.
No, of
But if you can
course
get
not.
them to like purge out and draw out the pain that's maybe blocking that natural buoyancy,
Mm.
because we are naturally love, you know, when but the human stuff can keep us weighted down. And what you find with good healers, good readers, is that they'll pull that away. It's like pulling the curtain aside, and you get a glimpse of who you really are,
Yeah,
with the strength and courage that you have that will carry you forward. Some people get weighed in under the sadness, the grief. It keeps them stuck, and then their body starts to complain.
yeah.
You know, the body starts to I
Dis-
suppose manifest it, or yeah,
Absolutely. And I think I totally agree with you. You know, the whole love and light thing. I mean, it's great, but it doesn't come without the darkness.
yeah,
It's just they coexist. There isn't one without the other. And anyone who says, you know, oh, it's just all fluffy and everything else and gorgeous, it's just, as I've said before, it's just not reality. And you're right, you know, when you're, whatever work you're doing in this kind of genre,
yeah,
it has to be rooted in reality. And it's not real to just go, well, you know, you just have to love and you just have to forgive and you just have to, that's not real. And
no,
I think you know, it's really important for people to feel what they're feeling.
yeah,
And light language definitely does that. I mean, I think the first video I watched of yours was awakening it within yourself.
yeah,
I had no expectations whatsoever. I try to do everything like that, but it's quite difficult. But I watched it, and I think the only expectation that I had was that nothing would happen. And I was sat on my bed and I watched it, and then stuff started happening, and I was like, whoa, what? And I was like, did I just make that up?
yeah,
Like the whole self-doubt thing.
yeah,
But it's definitely a journey. I
yeah,
can't believe it's only 3 years since you could put a name to what it was. That's such a
yeah.
long time.
It was very long. It was basically 31 years.
Wow.
And like when I was saying earlier that I get a little bit jealous that people have so much now to kind of, I just literally had nothing. And the closest I came to it was I sat in front of a shaman once and he expelled like I do. And I was like, okay, at least I can see that as
Yeah.
being something, because it's quite scary because entities, all sorts of weird shit comes out. But it's like, I really feel, Kate, that the whole thing for me was an initiation in trust and becoming sovereign. Because anything that I've ever gone to where people have done meditations, I sat in circle for 2 years, I would only ever be in the void. And people would have these wonderful experiences and they'd be meeting these guides and going through waterfalls. And then she'd come to me and I'd say it was just dark. But I really feel that the whole thing was so I didn't get dependent on guides or images or visuals or sensations in order to feel connected. It was constantly stripping me back to, okay, what are you feeling? How
Mm,
did it make you feel? How are
mm.
you connecting to your inner being?
Self.
That's always the way. And it was a long road, but like I said, I have no attachments now to whatever comes in. I don't label it either. You know, people say, is it Pleiadian? Is it Syrian? What is the thing? I don't label it at all. It's just here they come.
Mm.
And I'm completely open. And
And it doesn't matter, does it?
it doesn't at all, not to me anyway.
No,
But
no.
I'm
I,
still
I
having,
totally agree.
yeah, and I'm still having new tones and expressions of it coming through that are new. And in healings now, there's new like beings, tones, whatever coming through, and it's like, yes, it's still exciting. And in my recent video, I actually got very emotional because it was it was something I'd never experienced before, and I felt my whole spine vibrated with the energy that came through, and I actually started to cry. It was so powerful. But that's the beauty of it. It keeps changing and evolving, and every time you kind of bump up in vibration, you're opening yourself up to a deeper level of the code
Yeah.
and a deeper level of connection then with who you really are, basically on a soul level.
And that's what it's all about. It's about, like you said, finding yourself and knowing yourself and knowing what's true and what feels for you. And it's amazing. In everyday terms, though, you're just like the rest of us, and we touched on at the beginning, this is available to anyone.
Yeah.
There is no special key, there's no password
No.
as such. You don't have to be a certain thing or born a certain way. We all have access to any spirituality that
Yeah.
we want to do, anything that people would class as gift. And I'm sure you have your difficult times, just your mundane difficult times, just like the rest of us.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, I'm very, very much a human being.
Yeah.
I'll bring my husband in there and he'll tell you. But no,
Wouldn't it be great if we weren't?
what it is, it's constantly being brave enough though to look at yourself,
Yeah.
especially in the energy we're in now, because our triggers, our challenges are coming up that much faster now. Like before, you'd get 3 or 4 months in between a trigger or a challenge, and you'd kind of get a chance to process it. You're not now, it's like rapidly coming around.
Yeah.
I find whatever I'm putting out there now is coming back to me very quickly, whether positive or negative. If I'm being judgy, back in the door, the judgment comes to myself.
Yeah.
If I'm putting out a positive energy, if I'm saying, oh, I'd love that, isn't that gorgeous? Like this dress, I was absolutely in love with this dress. Gave this girl a shout out on my page. She comes back to me and said, there's a spare one in the box if you actually want it. Now
Oh,
I gave her a swap for a reading because fair is fair, but here comes the dress.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel that that's the way we are now. I literally feel, Kate, and this might sound a bit wacky, like, but I
Yeah.
literally feel everything is around us in our field now. So we can, like, like I was out for a walk the other day, and I was feeling kind of, the whole the energy we're in, the vaccinations, all of that kind of stuff was going on. What's really happening behind the scenes, and I was getting kind of down with it. And I said, you know what? Now, no, I'm going to hook into the bliss streams instead. And I said, please hook me in now to those that are putting out the energy of bliss, the energy of love. And I could see and feel those codes around me. So I just went, thank you. Thank you. And just pulled them in. And I really feel that that's what we're working with now, that it's our intention. If we're meditating every day, even for 10 minutes, we're purifying all the noise out. And
I
we're getting into a vibration
totally agree.
where, we can feel our own energy. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it was me interrupting, but I just totally agree with you. And I think at the start of this period, I was okay for a little while, and then, like you say, the triggers started happening, and I was like, wow, okay. Whew. And they were intense, and it's been really difficult at times to look at myself and look at the stuff that has really, really got me, and try and clear it and get over it. And I'm still doing that.
Yeah.
And it is, you're right, is that it's so easy to get bogged down in that and not see it as a way of moving forward.
Yeah.
And in that, I think it's only really in the last couple of weeks that I've started doing things in a slightly different way. I've had to change what I do for myself.
Yeah.
And I feel lighter and I feel more connected. And I think for me, that's the thing. I lost myself a little bit in the beginning of this weird period that we're in,
Yeah.
and now I've found myself again, and it feels so good. And everybody's going through the same. They might not look at what it is that they need to work on, and I think I wish people would.
Yeah.
But you can't save everyone, can you?
I know. Kate, the thing is that like collectively we can underestimate how powerful we are. But
Mm,
as an individual, we're incredibly powerful.
mm.
So years ago when I used to practice law of attraction and I had that all wrong. But I used to say, like, I'd go out on my walk. I love my walk. That's when I really get a lot of downloads and I feel a very strong connection with spirit. But I would, for the whole hour that I was out for the walk, I would be in this lovely vibration of, oh yes, and I would be feeling it and seeing it, creating everything that I wanted. And then I would come home and start complaining about the washing. Why is that on the floor? Um, have you got your homework done? You know, that and I was totally
Everyday
getting it
stuff.
wrong. I was just doing it for that hour, and while that was powerful, it needs to flow through your whole life.
Yeah.
So that's where your life will always give you exactly what you need, because if you're getting irritated with the driver that cut you off, then there's some stress or unhappiness within you that makes you think he shouldn't have cut me off.
Yeah.
You know, and you're trying to control and micromanage your world. So when that happens to me, it's funny if I bring my daughter, I usually bring her for a spin around in the evening now to get her out. And if somebody doesn't indicate, that drives me crazy, right? So I like, yeah, nice indicator there, bud. And here she is, Mom, you have to be positive. You're just going to draw more of that now with the indicators. And I'm like, Jesus Almighty. But
What have I created?
yeah, exactly what I created. But she pulls me up. So then immediately then, if I was, you could choose to snap at her and say, "Shut up," or you drive. You could, or you could just laugh, which is what I normally do, and I say, "Peace be with you, brother." I send peace to the guy. But spirit will always, when you're on that road of trying to get to a point where your vibration is very consistently high,
Mm,
where okay, you'll be pulled off track, but you get on track. Spirit will always give you those kind of reminders, either a Facebook message, you'll overhear somebody saying something, a song will come on, your loved ones will say, "That's not like you, what's going on?" Or you'll
yeah.
be put in, if you're willing, if you're really open to peeling it all away, spirit will work with you in miraculous ways. You'll always have what you need, but you have to be brave.
Yeah.
It's easy to stay in your comfort zone. It's easy to push it out and say, that's my mother's fault. That's my father's fault. I had horrible teachers. My first boyfriend shattered my confidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can blame, blame, blame. But at the end of the day, the only real power is your own. The only real power is to say, okay, where am I not loving myself in this moment that
Yeah.
I'm getting angry with some guy who doesn't use an indicator?
Yeah.
Where am I stressing out that things should be a certain way around me? And I'm always protected, Kate. I'm fascinated by that. I like again last night I was out with my daughter. We were having a lovely chat. This motorbike swerved and came straight at me, but just at the last second it was gone. And I really feel when you're in flow and in communion with spirit that way, you'll always be okay.
Mm,
Things may happen, but you'll always find some kind of peace in it.
yeah. Some way through it as well.
It's the most miraculous thing for me, that feeling of peace that's always there.
Mm,
I never really understood it. And I suffered a really profound loss a few years ago. I lost my brother to spirit.
mm,
And
I'm sorry.
what I was most astonished with is that even with all the grief, and it was really, really painful, there was peace underneath.
Mm,
There was peace underneath. And
mm,
somebody actually gave me the nicest compliment I've ever had. My uncles and aunts were sitting in the living room because we waked in my home. And I was in the room and then I left the room. And my uncle said, "Doesn't Marlene bring a beautiful peace to her room?"
wow.
And it was my sister taught me afterwards. And I was like, you know what? That's the nicest compliment
Mm,
I've ever got in my life. But that's what I mean, that when you start to work on your vibration, even in the most horrible, apparently horrible situations, you vibrate out what you are.
yeah.
You vibrate out your peace, you vibrate out your healing.
And that doesn't mean that you don't feel the grief
No,
and the sadness, not at
no,
all.
Not at all, because it was raw for me. I still feel it now, and it's nearly 6 years on. I loved my brother. I love him still. But like I said, it's like the human part of you is feeling all this grief and this sorrow and wanting the person to be with you. But the more knowing you, the inner being is it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's peace there. It's hard to explain, I suppose. It sounds like a contradiction, but that's how I experienced it. And
I
it was
know
very,
exactly what you mean.
yeah,
You know, it's one of those things that is it it takes it takes work.
it takes work
It
and it
takes
takes
work. It
commitment.
doesn't just happen like that.
No. For
It
a rare few it does. They just get this instant
yeah.
awakening.
Well, like you say, lucky them.
Lucky bar-
Bastards.
my friend.
But yeah, my story is very similar to yours in that it took a really, really, really long time for me to get to a place where I kind of knew who I was and what I was meant. I still don't really
Yeah,
know what I'm meant
yeah,
to be doing, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, and growing up with all this
yeah.
stuff happening to me, which is how it felt, and not really having anyone to talk to about it, nobody understanding it, not keeping it all to myself because I thought I was clinically insane. And that can be really difficult. And so I really resonate with your story massively because I think, did you say you're 47?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 40, I'm 46. So it's a shame we didn't know each other.
I know. I
Because
know.
it sounds very similar to what we went through.
But I find now as well, Kate, and you might be finding it too, it's like tribe is finding each other.
Oh
So we
yeah.
have these people showing up and like I find this very touching, but it's also really funny. On my YouTube channel, people call me mom all
Oh,
the time. And this,
honestly, I get exactly the same. Yeah.
yeah, like there was this younger lady and she said, "You're my YouTube mom." And
Oh,
these guys are showing up and it's not creepy. It's just that they just feel the energy
yeah.
of mother
The
from,
nurturing. Yeah.
yeah, the nurturing, yeah. And I feel that that's what people are craving deep down.
Mm,
They're craving nurturing, they're
mm,
craving love.
mm.
And even though this situation that we're in with the Rona is difficult, what I feel is happening is that it's giving people that opportunity to be with their families if they're lucky enough not to be essential workers, but to be at home with their children. I've never seen so many families out walking together where I live,
No.
all out in groups together. And the nurturing that when people are living at a frenetic pace and they're out to work all day, they might come home, they might veg out with the television, bed, work, and then they're living for the weekend.
Repeat. Yeah.
Yeah. The nurturing, the deep nurturing that your soul and your body craves then is snatched. You know what I mean? It's snatched. So when you're in the vibration of somebody that is soothing or is emanating love as much as possible to you, you're gonna drink it up. You're gonna drink it up like living water, basically. That's what it feels like. So what I'm feeling is that the more of us that are activated, the more of us using the codes, speaking it over our water, speaking it over our plants, our children, our animals, they in turn are emanating those codes out. You could be sitting on the bus next to a lady and you're activating that lady because your codes are vibrant in your field. And if they've been asking for it, they're ready for it, those codes are going to go right into their field as well. It's miraculous.
It
It's
is.
absolutely miraculous. It doesn't have to be that you sit down in front of YouTube and watch
Absolutely.
a teacher or a reader. When I'm putting it out for the collective, I'm connecting to everyone and sending it out. And I know many other people do it as well. Plus the plants, the trees, they all have code as well.
Mm.
When you look at it, when you look at a plant and you start to pick up the aura of the plant, you're picking up the codes, the frequency of the plant as well. That's why a lot of people seem to be giving each other flowers as well.
And
Flower,
gardening.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone's gardening. And
yeah.
you know, it's that I mean, personally, I really hate gardening.
I've never
I
gardened.
love plants and flowers and trees. I love them, but
Yeah,
I don't like gardening.
no,
But so many people are gardening, and that's, you know, like you say, those codes then transmit, and you don't even have to really do anything apart
not
from
at all.
just
Yeah,
carrying out that task in a peaceful, loving
yeah,
way, going about your day, and it transmutes.
definitely. And especially then people that are growing their own veg. I mean, they're bringing in all those codes into their body then as well. But
Wow.
I've always felt a very strong connection with trees.
Mm.
Before I kind of really understood about light codes and how they're transmitted, trees are really amplifying at the moment. And I know now, like you said, these kind of topics sound a bit strange to people, but for me, especially in the past 3 weeks, I'm really pushing it now, but it's like the trees are like alive. They look like they're pulsing more, they're pulsating the energy more. So when I'm looking at them now, it's almost like they're saying, "Hey," there's a kind of a presence with them now. And that may be just me, rising in vibration, but I do feel everything is becoming more amplified.
But I
And
think if
people,
you look at, you know, Joe who lives down the road, or, you know, Sandra who lives somewhere else, on social media, so many people, just people that, you know, don't do what you do or I do, as a, you know, as a career, but and that don't practice any of that at home. They're posting photographs of nature, and they're posting photographs of, look where we've been today, and they're, you know, they're posting photographs of their vegetables and the trees and everything else. And I think people are feeling it even if they don't know what they're feeling, if that
yeah,
makes sense. I don't know
yeah,
how you feel about that.
no, absolutely, yeah. And a lot of people are putting up beach shots, the water,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
again, water holds massive codes,
Yeah.
massive vibration. So even just looking at someone's post is going to make you go, because you're receiving that code. Like the thing that people have to understand, and this is the hardest part for people to get past. We're not solid.
No.
We're energy. We're energy. So when you're looking at something, you're there with that thing energetically. The physical body is an illusion in that way. Energetically, we are everywhere
Mm.
connecting to everything. And for people that have been tuning into their psychic abilities, or are a bit more awake with that, will have that experience readily where they wake up thinking about their best friend that they haven't spoken to in 3 years, and then there's a text from that friend, or the friend pops up on their feed, or you know what I mean, or
Or
like
thinking about somebody and then the phone ringing
thinking about
and
something,
you know on
or
the end. Yeah.
for me, like myself and my husband, like he makes me laugh because he'd say to me, "I'd never get away with anything with you anyway because I can read his thoughts." So if I'm sitting at home and he's gone to the shop, and then I'll say to myself, "I'd love a fruit nut bar. I should have told him. God, I'd love a fruit nut bar." In he'll come with a fruit nut bar.
I
In he'll
love
come
it.
with a fruit nut bar.
That
So
is that is very convenient.
yeah, it's extremely convenient because I'll have thoughts like that, and then I won't tell him, and then I'll check the fridge and I'm like, "Oh, you got the apples." He goes, "Yeah, I don't know why I just felt the need to pick up apples." It's like, but that's what happens. That's what happens when we're very in tune and very in the flow of our intuition.
Mm.
And what happens then is that people doubt it. What happened to
Yeah.
me a few times is that until I learned the lesson, never ignore your initial impression, right? It's okay to give people the benefit of the doubt. But if you have a strong visceral reaction, so you feel a kind of almost withdrawing or a clenched feeling,
Mhm.
even if the person is all
Yeah.
of this, but something in you is like,
Mm-mm.
"Mm,
Mm.
this is that." When I've ignored that because other people say, "Ah, no, you have her all wrong. She's lovely. She's lovely." I've paid the piper for that
Yeah.
big time in some situations. But you have to use discernment a lot more now.
And again, that's trusting yourself. That's
Yeah,
it all comes back to knowing yourself.
yeah,
And you know, it's not easy to listen to that little voice that goes, mm-mm, not for me,
no,
because especially like you say, if other people are saying, oh no, you've got it all wrong, you know,
Yeah,
he's great, he's great, and you think, oh okay, but actually when you start to really tune into who you are and what feels good for you
yeah,
or
yeah,
not, that's when that becomes a lot easier. But
yeah,
it's scary. And this whole thing, I feel like with you bring, and this conversation, a lot of it goes back to bravery. It's about being really fucking brave.
yeah.
And I, to me, you are the epitome of that, because as I said,
Okay.
you are, I just, hats off to you, because you're just amazing. And now I know it was only 3 years ago that you could actually kind of put some kind of label on it and understand it better is just even more incredible. Like, wow. It's
But
amazing.
just to touch on the intuition thing there, what I say to a lot of people is when people hear intuition and psychic ability and whatever, they think it's like us. They think they have to be sitting down pulling cards and doing things with people. But I say to them, that is your golden ticket in every area of your life.
Mm,
If you have to choose between jobs and you trust the intuition, you will never go wrong. You'll pick the right one. If you're choosing a partner, if you're trying to figure out whether you should stay with someone or not, your intuition will always be very loud
yeah,
if you tuned into it.
yeah,
The same with should I go down that road or should I take that shortcut? Your intuition will go, don't take the shortcut. And everyone will have experience where they'll say, I knew I shouldn't have done that.
yeah.
I knew I shouldn't have went out with that guy. You know, you'll
Yeah,
get some strong messages. So that's what I would say. Develop it just for that.
yeah.
Develop it and trust it just for the hey hey's
Yep,
having ease
yeah,
your life. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
absolutely. So how do you, in terms of, you know, the light language that you um, do you ever, I mean, obviously it flows through you and it's part of who you are, but do you ever have times where you're just like, I can't deal with this right now? Or is it always something that returns you? So if you are having if you're having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month or you're struggling, is it something, just for everybody watching really, that you return to and that helps you? Or do you ever just go, no, I can't do that right now?
The only time that I get the I can't do that right now is when I'm purging for the collective,
Okay.
right? I know that sounds arrogant, but it's just
No,
something that's been happening since I was very young.
yeah.
So it feels different to my stuff, right? So it will feel heavier, it will feel really, really intense. And then in meditation, the light language will pour and all the transmutation stuff will happen. There are times when I could be nearly 2 hours doing that. And I will go, no, I'm done. I'm done. No, I need to get up now and I need to have tea and I'm over it. And I get up. And
Yeah.
there are times that I can't because there's so much in my body that I know I will only feel relief and feel like myself if I have to get it out.
Mm.
So at times like that, even though it feels uncomfortable, I know I have to push through. And that's just my job. That's just what I came in here to do. But before I'd get maybe 3 or 6 months in between those heavy ones, it's happening much more on top of each other now.
What is it?
Yeah, it might be every 3 weeks a month. And then I will just get whacked with this energy, and it's like, shit, I'm gonna have to do a lot of transmuting. But it is getting faster. It is getting faster. I'm not in that space as much. And I know it's because so many people are switching on and saying, I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna get out in nature, I'm gonna hug my loved one. And all of that adds to the collective. All of that love adds to the collective. So then there will come a time, I'm hoping, where I won't have to do it so heavy,
Yeah.
where I can go, here's the torch, my friend. Work away.
You
You do it
go.
now. Yeah, like Jesus, I've been doing that now a long, long time. And I'm just hoping that the baton gets passed. Not that I'd wish it on anyone, but I honestly feel I've paid my dues that way. And I want to get on this lovely love, this love train that
Love
so many
train.
people are on,
We all want a piece of the love train.
Honestly though, Kate, I had 10 minutes of it the other day when I was telling you about pulling in the bliss codes. I had 10 minutes of absolute, it was like everything was perfect. There was nothing to worry about. And I kept saying, oh, please let me keep it. Please let me keep it. Please let me keep it. But it didn't, it moved on. But it was like a brief glimpse of, oh, this is what they're talking about. This is this frequency. And I know it was a taster from spirit to say, just keep pushing your vibration, just keep adjusting, keep on checking in where you're feeling off or you're complaining. Complaining is a big one.
Yeah.
Complaining will take you right down into the ground. So I have to catch myself when I find myself going, oh my God, I have so much ironing to do. You know what I mean? I have to, now what I've started to do is put on music or, start
Yeah.
to say, I'm really grateful that I have, my children are still at home and I get to do this for them.
Yeah.
It's not Pollyanna, it's work. It's just tweaking it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, why am I stressing? The windows aren't clean. Okay, can I clean one window? And then just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's
It's
just
a mindset thing.
yeah,
It's twisting the narrative to fit into a happier way of being. And
yeah, it's just a choice.
everybody, that, like you said, that is something everybody can do.
Yeah. The
In
most powerful thing for me that way was Byron Katie's work. Have you heard of her at all?
yeah,
And she had this thing where she said her religion was my children should pick up their socks. And when I read that, I was like, that's a bit close to home now. But she was saying she figured out that the socks were for her to pick up so that she could be happy. So they had no issue with the socks being on the floor, but she did. So in order for her to feel peaceful, she needed to pick up the socks. So that's what I'm trying to say to myself now. Okay, my husband's naturally messy. So I'm okay, he's really happy being messy. I'm not happy he's messy, so I need to clean or tidy up. It's a hard one because you want to justify it and you want to get into the aggro of, can't you just clean it? No, it's not for him to do. He's very happy with it being like that. If you have the issue and you want to clean, then it's your job to do it. And
wow.
you can either do that from a really peaceful place, like as in, okay, I'm going to feel really happy when this is clean, or you can come from resentment and anger and create stories around it that will just upset you and will upset everybody else. And the thing still has to be cleaned.
I'm going to remind myself of that when I'm loading the dishwasher for the 7,000th time later today. And if my children actually watch this interview, they're all going to be messaging you again. Can we come and live with you, please?
Oh, it took me a long time to get there, believe me.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah.
But like I said earlier, your environment, your children, they'll give you everything. They'll give you everything that you still haven't haven't worked on in yourself.
Yeah.
When you get to those things with a feeling of, you're home.
Aren't they, like, your children are your biggest mirrors, and they are just the biggest mirrors. My eldest son, he's 20, and there's a running joke in, like, there's me and the four of them, and it's a running joke that if we have to do anything, so for example, my daughter we got a little playhouse, a wooden one, for the garden a couple of years ago, and we had to build it. And so we went out in the garden, and Noah and I decided that we would build it together, and everybody else hid. When we work together on something like that, the air is not only blue, but it's very loudly blue.
Yeah.
We spend, and if anybody watching has an aversion to foul language, you might want to just wander to the loo for a minute. But we spend the entire time going, oh, fuck you, no, you fuck, oh, for fuck's sake, I told you not to do that, oh, fuck no. It goes like that, but like, and then we'll carry on, oh, just do it that way, then it's fine, and then we'll do it, and it'll work, and we'll go, good job,
Yeah,
right, high five,
yeah,
yeah. And it's not a malicious thing.
Like, it's just your energy.
It's just our energy. It's like,
let's do it. Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like when we do stuff like that, somewhere in the universe, something's going.
Yeah. Are you fire signs by any chance?
And it's sorry, say again.
Are you fire signs by any chance?
I'm Pisces and he's Sagittarius.
Well, he's a fire sign. You're Pisces. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
it. You
I,
you must have it in your rising or Cancer moon
yeah,
or your moon or something.
and it is, whenever we do anything, if we're decorating together, doing anything together, like even my partner, he'll message me saying, are you and Noah doing it? So yeah, but he is my biggest, like they all are, but I
Yeah.
look at him and I just think, I know why he's doing that, I know why I do it, like you can learn so much from them, and it
Yeah.
is just a case of just taking a deep breath and going, okay, let's just reframe that a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah, but like we're human and
Yeah.
especially as a woman, hormones,
Oh,
my hormones have definitely changed, I'm in perimenopause.
me
So
too.
things are going to change and the same way you have to kind of adapt to your body. And I think as women especially, we're very cyclical creatures.
Yeah.
So this this whole Rona situation has allowed us to kind of move more in those cycles where we were so much in our masculine that for women that's very odd. Like we get moments where, we need to pull in, be more nurturing, be more quiet, be more, creative. And then we have this big burst of energy where we could pull a house down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then there's the more like sexual energy that comes through, and then there's the kind of recharge. And that's like that's a thing that women have been totally alienated from. Because it's boss babe and
Yeah.
there's all these masculine labels,
Yeah.
grind, hustle, these are all very masculine things. And it's not that we're not powerful, it's just that we can't realistically just pound it out like that without something suffering.
No.
Without either we're snapping at our families, we're exhausted, we don't have any juice after a while, sexual energy starts to take a hit. You know what I mean? So I think this whole situation with this, having to be in lockdown, it is frustrating, but at the same time, it is allowing us to move more in our natural energy.
Exactly. And again, it's that reframing what potentially is a very frustrating, difficult time for many people, and there's no taking away from that. Everybody is getting through it the best way they know how, but also trying to reframe that and look at the amazing things that you have the time to do, that you can delve deep into, and just really enjoy some of it,
Yeah.
because it's there, it is there.
It is what it is. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's the same thing what I was talking about the socks. We can sit in the chair and rail against it and say, this is so unfair. I'm sick of being inside, my poor kids, la la la. Or we can go, okay, if I trust that there's a universal plan for everything, if I trust that we are completely loved, protected, and guided, then I know that something magnificent is coming from all of this.
Mm.
And it's just deciding to trust that. It's very hard because you're kind of like, how could a universal force allow so many people to die from this? How can, you know, all the stuff with the vaccines be part of it? But if we hold to the energy that, we're completely safe, we're always protected, there is only love there underneath everything else, then we're adding to that frequency then. We're
Mm.
adding to that frequency that, okay, we are all very powerful together
Yeah.
and we love each other. And that's becoming more evident. We love each other. We care about each other. We're looking out for each other. We're saying, are you okay? And we're not just saying it in a surface way. We're saying it in a
Yeah,
deeper.
I was just going to say that to you. Don't you feel like since this has happened, before you'd say, how are you to somebody, and you didn't really, you might not necessarily, I'm
Yeah,
not everybody, I'm
like saying hello.
generalizing, but
Yeah,
you'd be like, oh, how are you? And it was like a hello. And
yeah,
people go, yeah, I'm fine. And they walk away going, I'm not fine. I don't feel fine. I feel far from fine. But now, when you say to somebody, how are you, you actually mean, how are you? And people are taking that
yeah.
and saying, actually, I'm really struggling with this, and I'm really struggling with this. For
100%.
me, it's so beautiful. I think that's my favorite thing about the whole
Yeah,
situation is that people are taking the time for each other and
yeah.
actually trying to understand each other. Not everyone, but a lot of
The
people.
majority of people
Yeah,
are. The majority of people are. They're trying to connect. They're, you know, there is this energy of solidarity.
yeah,
It's like, it's tough, but you know what? We'll get through it. And there's this kind of like, yeah, we will, that we're together. I don't see any kind it's for me, it's kind of got rid of a lot of that sort of separation. You know what I mean? If it
yeah.
feels like no
I
matter
do.
who we're connecting with now, no matter what they have or haven't, we can all find a commonality there, and we can say, how are you getting on? What are you doing? How are your kids? It's a much deeper, more profound energy. And like I said, I have such a rich feeling of hope for all of this. I
Mm.
do feel all the other stuff will kind of just eat itself. All that dark stuff coming out into the open will just eat itself, and what will be left is a very sparkling energy of light. And that sounds, a little bit trite, but I really do feel it. I really feel a shift in vibration. I feel a shift in what people will put importance on. You know
Yes.
what I mean? What they'll find is really matters when you peel it all away is touching your loved one.
Yeah.
I'm such a hugger, Kate, and not being able to hug,
Oh, me too. Oh, it's
you
so
know?
hard.
I really love it. And I'm always patting people and transmitting energy into them and rubbing their back. And for me that's been the most challenging part. But by the same token, it's showing us how important it is.
Absolutely. I totally get that as well because I just love a hug. Um, and I'm a kisser. I don't mean I go around snogging everyone, but I kiss everybody. I could be introduced to somebody for the very first time. I'd be like, hello, mwah. I kiss everybody. In fact, I'm probably more of a kisser than I am a hugger. My friend Caroline, she is like the best hugger you have. I mean, I haven't had a hug from you. It's probably on a par, but she's a hugger 100%. And when you get a hug from her, it's like,
Yeah,
wow.
you exhale. Yeah.
And she's like, I can't even, if I think about how she's coping with not hugging, it
Oh,
actually freaks me out a bit because she must be just going
yeah,
insane. We
yeah.
need to make some kind of plastic all in one thing sheet. But yeah, no, I agree with you. And it is showing us what's important, and I really hope that people remember that after the fact. And I was talking to my next door neighbour yesterday. They're quite elderly, and they go on holiday every year, and they haven't been, obviously. I said, "Oh, are you going next year instead?" And she said, "No, we don't think we're going to go again." And I said, "Oh, that's a shame. Why not?" And she said, "Well, you just don't know what's going to happen." And
Oh,
I just thought, oh
oh,
no.
mm,
And it made me really sad because I
yeah,
thought, you're frightened. So we had a
yeah.
little chat, and she's decided to buy a car instead.
Oh, well, okay.
But there's so
Like
there's an
something around.
upside, but it if you can choose to, like we've been saying, if you can
Yeah,
choose to live in that love element rather than in the fear, it's much, well, obviously it's much better.
it's better for you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's better for you, and
it's better for
even
everyone
just focusing
collectively.
on, yeah, just focusing on what you have for those that are living on their own. Like, what
Mm,
what can you do to create that happy feeling in yourself?
yeah.
Can you connect online to somebody? Can you go out and maybe sweep up your front garden? Or there's always some way that you can put something energetically beautiful out there. It will always come back to you with wings on it, always.
Yeah.
Um so everyone is important. Every single one of us is uniquely special.
Mm,
Every one of us is uniquely special, and we all have a tone, a signature, a vibration in our aura that nobody else has.
mm,
Nobody else has. So comparing is a waste of time, because your flow, the way you make a cup of tea, the way you smile at your children, the hugs that you give, the lovely thank you notes that you write, all have a massive ripple effect on the world.
Mm,
All have a massive ripple effect. I
mm,
can think back to people that showed up in my life with nothing astounding, but they changed the course of my life.
yeah,
Because they cared and they took the time to look at me
yeah.
and they took the time to connect, however briefly. I never forget those people,
No,
you know?
beautiful. So, what have you got plans for what you're going to be doing? Are you just going to carry on, I don't mean just carry on, but are you just gonna carry on doing what you're doing, or have you got
I
big
never
plans?
plan. I never plan, Kate. What I do is I just keep
Go in the flow.
opening up, and then they'll always drop in what I need. They'll always say, "Okay, you need to be working on this now." And sometimes I resist it. Like I have a group, Magic and Mediums. It's closed at the moment now, but like I resisted that for over a year.
Okay.
I was like, no, I can't be doing with that because I'm very all or nothing. So if I commit to something, every bit of me goes into it.
Mhm.
But they made me commit to something else. So I was committing to doing a retreat in Ibiza.
Okay.
And I had about 130 people saying, yeah, 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 yeah. And I nearly shit myself. I was like, I've never done anything like that. And I was like, how could I do it? Then when it came to it, um, only 3 people actually wanted to pay the deposit. So I was like, okay, why would they get me all amped up now for this? And lots of people had been asking me about mentorship. And then it was like, do the mentorship. So it was like they gave me this big scary thing that I'd say yes to, took the scary thing away, and then said, what about the mentorship now? So then I put the mentorship out, and then the group just was like, okay, do it. And I had it all done in about an hour. And it's a fantastic group. It's just there's about at the moment now that I brought it down from 98 people down to 46 because I wanted people in there that really want to work, really,
Yeah.
love it and whatever. So the way it is right now, it's only if somebody goes out that someone can come in. So I've
Okay, that
dropped
makes sense.
people because they weren't in the space for it. But like I said, that just came out of nowhere, and I have no plans for that being a very long thing. It's like, okay, when spirit tells, okay, you're done with that now,
Yeah,
I will dismantle it very easily.
it's
And
there
then,
while it needs to be there, kind of
yeah,
thing.
and then I will open up again for this interview this morning. I didn't plan for this, and it's like you invited me, and I was delighted, and I turned up. And that's how I live now. I was a nut, Kate. I was a nut for organization, for planning, for needing to know. And it was like they've stripped it all away. And even when I'm doing my readings, my lives, I could be reading for someone, I might look like that and look back and the conversation is completely gone. And it's like, okay, shit. Obviously what I was talking about was not what they want to talk about. So then I will apologize and say, I'm sorry, it's completely gone. I'm going to move into something else.
Yeah,
And all the embarrassment that I would have felt with that before, I don't feel it now.
no.
So it's literally, I will just be very transparent. So if we were talking and, spirit made me look at something and then I looked back at you and then had no reference for what we were talking about, I would tell you. I would say, I'm really sorry, Kate. I looked at something and it's gone. Do you still want to talk about this?
And
And
I'd
if
probably say,
then
I can't remember what it was.
do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And that I feel that that's how spirit is working. It's like this, the filing cabinets. They're like, nah, you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that. And it's time is very. I really feel what they're trying to get us to is a kind of a fluidity with time. A lot of people are experiencing interdimensional things now and dimension jumping and losing chunks of time, or you check the clock and only 5 minutes have gone and you swear it's a half hour, or vice versa. And they're trying to get us into this space of flow and trust, flow and trust, flow and trust. And nothing is solid. We see the past as this solid thing. We see this future as unknowable. They're all playing out. They're all happening. It's all flowing. You can change any aspect forward or back
Mm,
in this moment now if you want to.
that's amazing. Amazing. And what a gift for you to share with everybody as well. Thank you.
I think everyone will get there, Kate. I feel a lot of people are even more advanced with this stuff, and they're really playing in dimensions, and they fascinate me. So I always say them when I see something like that, because what you see in others is in yourself. So
Mm,
when I see that, I'm like, I want that. Show me how to get that, and I always get it.
yeah.
You just have to trust. You just have to trust whatever you see. If there's readers on, people on here watching me and you, and they're like, "I love what Kate has. I love what Marlene has," then it's in you. If you're
Absolutely.
resonating with it, it's in you. And then you just say, okay, show me how to get that. Show me
Mm.
how to be even better than that. You know?
Show me how to
Aim
remember
bigger,
to
like
call
aim
for
bigger.
it.
Yeah, right.
It's so funny because I was I just love talking to people, and the way that I'm moving forward is very, very different to how I thought and how I had planned for it to be. And I won't go into details about that now, but I was thinking about kind of people coming on and interviewing. And I was thinking, it's not going to be long before I've kind of run out of people to interview that I've got booked in so far. Who am I gonna ask next? And there's a couple of people who are huge on Instagram, like mega, mega, mega people. And I was
Yeah.
like, I really want that guy. I really want that guy on. I really want that guy on. And then this morning, I think it was 3:45, I woke up. I had a weird dream, and I woke up and I was sitting there. I was thinking, I'm going to message him. I'm going to message him. I'm going to ask him to come on. And it's wrong time, so he hasn't answered yet. But
Yeah.
it's that stepping out of your comfort, like you
Yeah.
say, and just going, do you know what? Like, it's no big
The
deal.
worst. Yeah. What's the worst
What
that can happen?
That's what I want. If I don't make it happen, it's not. If I don't ask for it, it's
Yeah.
not going to happen. And in a
Exactly.
very real sense, it's the same for everyone. If you want something, you have to ask for it, and if you don't
Yeah.
ask, you don't get.
But what you should do as well, Kate, just, not should do, but what I would do if I were you, I would ask each guest that comes on to give you 5 names that of people that they think are wonderful,
You're amazing. I
you
wouldn't
know?
have even thought of that.
Yeah, why not? Give me 5 names of people that you think will be interesting to interview, people that you think, you know, would have something different to offer. I
Yeah.
definitely could give you at least 5 names of people that would be really good with your energy. So you'll never run out of people, my love.
No,
You'll never
I
run
know.
out of
It's just
people.
it's that whole just sort of
It's mental limits. It's
going with the flow and trying to
yeah,
open up and just accepting that it will be
yeah,
like this for however
yeah.
long it is, and then if it isn't, it isn't.
And you'll have people reaching out to you as well and saying, Kate, I love your show. Any chance I could come on? You're gonna have that too. So, you have a really lovely style. I feel really comfortable with you. So there's
Thank
just gonna be people queuing up to come onto your show, sweetheart.
no,
Absolutely.
thank you. Well, it's been so fascinating and so amazing talking to you. I'm very grateful for you being here and for your time as well. We've been on quite a long time.
Yeah,
We're obviously both talkers as well as huggers.
absolutely. And we could have had 4 different shows with some of the subjects that we brought up. Definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely, and
So
hopefully,
glad to come on though. I really enjoyed it.
good. If you ever want to come back, just give me a nudge, and you're on. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And for anybody that wants to get in touch with you, or
I'm
what
on
you do,
I'm on Facebook as just Marlene Cronin. I'm on Instagram as at the Spirit Seer. The light language is just type in Marlene Cronin, Google Marlene Cronin YouTube, and I'll
YouTube.
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you can just contact me through any of those channels.
brilliant. Well, thank you so much, and I'll speak to you soon.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Kate.
Lots of love.